Hello, Ron Briggs, Black Vale Honey, and welcome back to the channel. So this episode then is the February edition of my 1 year in beekeeping series, and we've got a lot to do. So it ain't long before the season's upon us. In fact, by the time you're watching this, it'll be March. The season will be practically upon us. The girls have started, they started before Christmas. So yeah, all systems go, and I've got loads to do before we get there. I've got frames to get rid of the wax. I've got some wax into render, got frames to boil, I've got boxes to sort out and clean up. I've got to get frames made, both brood frames and super frames, ready for the upcoming season. And the super boxes need to be made ready, and actually some of them put out in the apiary, ready for the season. So all that stuff's going on. We still obviously got some stuff to do on the honey house, outside work. The observation hive has still got to be worked on. I'm doing a review on that, the Tektron warming cabinet. In fact, that'll be out before this is, so you'll see that before. We're doing a review on the jarring machine, although I am waiting for a reply from Oldcastle Farm Hives. In fact, I might see them at the Beekeeping show, a question about that before it goes out. And on the subject of the Beekeeping show, that's coming up as well, 22nd of this month. So I was going to say, if you're at the Beekeeping show, I'll see you there, but that would have been finished by the time you see this. But what I will say is, when it comes to the shows, the Beekeeping show and the Honey show and the Spring Convention, all that kind of really good stuff, don't take your wallet. They will rob you. No, I'm joking. You get some really good deals whilst you're at the shows. And I'll be picking up my uncapping table, which I'm really looking forward to. So we've got all that going on. The first thing I've got to do this month is get some honey jarred up, because I'm on next to nothing now, and I've got some customers want some honey, and I know there's a few that are going to need some in a week or so, so we need to get that sorted. So I'll warm it in the new cabinet, jar it. There'll be separate videos, but I will show you some of once I've jarred it, labelling and that kind of stuff. So that's what we need to start on. So welcome to February, and let's get on with it. Okay, you'll notice that I'm wearing my the Great Tommy Sleep Owl hat. So by the time you see this video, we'll be into March. That's when it's happening. I just wanted to make you aware of it. I'm an ex-veteran. I was 12 years in the military, but I'm fortunate enough that I had quite easy, really. So my time was after the Falklands conflict. I know I look a lot older, but I'm not that old. And prior to all the Iran-Iraq conflicts, etc. So I had it quite easy. These boys and girls, some of the war zones and what they've been through is just incredible. Especially those older veterans, you know, during the world wars, etc. So a lot of them leave the military with mental health problems, and a lot of our rough sleepers are ex-military, which is a great shame. You know, we send them to these various war zones. They come out with mental health problems, and they can't cope with civilian life, and they end up rough sleeping, and that shouldn't be allowed to happen. Things are getting better, but you know, the government and us need to do more, really. So that's what this is all about. So it's all run by the Royal British Legion. Obviously they do the Poppy Appeal, but the Poppy Appeal is remembrance and looking after all the veterans. This is specifically looking at the rough sleepers. So yeah, so all I want to do is make you aware of it. It happens in March. Look it up online. You can go to the Royal British Legion website. You can either donate through that, or you can buy some merchandise like this hat, which supports it. Or if you really want to, you can spend a night or 2 nights or the whole month sleeping out and raising money for what is really a good cause. So yeah, just wanted to make you aware of that. Thanks. So there we are then. It's the 7th of Feb, and I'm just finishing off some honey and jarring. So we put a bucket of honey in the warming cabinet. If it's not out yet, I think it will be before this video. So I've done a review on that. You'll see that. And then there's the the manual bottling machine. You can just see it in the corner there. We've done a review on that as well. Still waiting for an answer back from Castle Farm Hives. So you'll see that. So the only thing that's you won't have seen as part of me putting the honey together is actually jarring it. Labelling it. You've seen it jarred. So when it comes to labels, let me show you. So when it comes to labelling, there's a lot of information that you have to have by law on your labels. And it's to really bizarre things, even to the size of to the size of what you have your grams and ounces in. Even that is dictated in the size of millimeters, and you have to have the grams more bold than the old metric. The metric has to be more bold than the imperial. So, and there's loads to it. But all I will say is Lawrence Edwards at Black Mountain Honey has got a really good YouTube channel which explains it all. So what I'll say to you is, before you even think about getting labels for your jars, have a look at that video. And all the major manufacturers, Thorns and all those, they will do you labels with all the information that you need to have on them. So that's the first thing. So all my labels are, I had the design made for me, and then I got them printed. So that's slightly different than going to any of the major beekeeping things, because with the beekeeping companies like Thorns and whatever, you pick the design you want, and then you can put your own details onto it. Whereas if you want your own design, you have to go a slightly different route. So I used Apiary for all mine, and because I, as I said to you, I know it would have been in the other video, I produce runny honey, I produce creamed honey, set honey, cut comb, I do chunk honey, and I do cut comb in the frame. So what you're looking at there is my runny honey labels, and that's got all the information that it should have on it. But then when it comes to my other labels, they're all got the same font and the same writing and everything, but they're a different colour and the things change. So that'll have just Black Morvelle honey on it. And then in this one, for example, I've got Black Morvelle honey, but I've got creamed. Sorry about the flashing, that's just the lights. That's the set labels, and that's the one I use for the cut comb. So, and I've got large 12 ounce and 8 ounce labels. I wanted a branding, so I couldn't just go for the normals. I had to have my own done, and I said I used Apiary, but there's lots of companies doing it. You just find out what one suits you. Okay, so when it comes to jarring, it can get quite expensive, but there is a little trick and a way around it, which I'll tell you about. So on your jars, you have to have a lot number and a best before date. If your best before date is got at least 8 digits in it, then you can just have the one. So instead of having a lot number and a best before date, you can just have a best before date. So for example, on mine, we have got my best before date for this one. So your best before date, generally speaking, doesn't have to be, but generally speaking, what the majority of people do is 2 years from the date of jarring. So because I did it 2 days ago, my best before date is 05th of February 2026. And because that's got more than 8 digits, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, it's got 9, then you can just have a best before date. Now what you'll see is when you order labels, you can order them with a best before date and lot number on them. But the problem with that is then you end up with a load of labels that you can't use. So the only other option you've got then is to just leave it blank and write on them all. Well, obviously that can take a lot of time. So, but what you can do, although they don't like it if you're entering honey into a honey show, but it's perfectly acceptable if within the field of view, so what that means is within this field of view, you've got directions of where to find the best before date. So within this field of view on here, I've got written best before date, lot number, seed base. best before, lot number, seed base. And then if you lift it up to the base, that's where you see the best before date. Okay, so by doing it that way was a game changer, because it meant all I had to do was get one of these machines. So you might remember these from the old shopkeeper days, when you just, and you get the sticker come out. So that is absolute game changer. It was relatively inexpensive for what they are, and you get a lot of ink and a lot of labels to use. So this one was the Panther price labeler, and I've had that for quite some time now. And what that means is you can now buy your labels in hundreds and thousands instead of buying them in tens for the amount of honey you've got. So, and the more labels you get, the cheaper it gets, significantly cheaper, because obviously for the printers it's just a run of labels. It's just almost like the price of an extra few sheets going through, and the ink, because it's already set up ready for your batch. So it is much cheaper. I mean, check it out, see for yourself. It really does get a lot cheaper. So by doing that, the way I've saved money is my tamper labels, which I've got my design on as well. These are tamper labels. Yeah, the tamper labels I've got just in the colour. So that tamper label will be used for 8 ounce and 12 ounce. And the same with the different colours for the different sorts of honey. The labels, there's the 2 sizes, but I can print off a huge run of them. And then because all of them just say best before seed base, I can get away with it that way. So that's what I do with my labelling. And then once you're finished labelling, once you're finished with the batch, what is really important then is your records. So when it comes to keeping beekeeping records, how you do that is entirely up to you. It's a personal thing. Some people keep it on electronically on a mobile phone. Others will keep it in the actual hive. Others will mark their hive so they know what's being done. For example, might put a rock on the top if it needs feeding or it has been fed, or something, some indication to you as to what's been done in that hive. Some people just literally write in Chinograph on the metal on top of the roof. Others keep records inside the roof of their hive. As I said, some do it electronically with a mobile phone, and others keep paper records. So I keep mine on a mobile phone, but the briefest of details, because I can do that whilst I'm there at the time. I just keep it really brief. With little things in there just to remind me. Then when I get home later on, I transfer that into written copies, just for my own benefit. It helps me when it comes to varroa and feeding, what the colony's like, and for queen rearing. It helps me out a lot. But how you keep your records is entirely up to you. Some things that you must keep records of is any veterinary treatment you use. So when you do varroa treatments and everything else, you need to keep a record of the use by dates and the batch numbers and all that kind of stuff. And you need to keep a record of your honey cells, because if somebody gets ill from your honey, they're going to come back to you. And so that is why you need a record to be able to say, yep, that's the batch I did, what date I did it, when it went out, how many jars went out, that kind of stuff. Now, I will talk about my records throughout the year, because there's a lot more in there that I'll show you as we go, which you don't have to keep. All I will say is, if you are in the British Beekeepers Association and you're looking to do your general husbandry exam, whether it be next year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years from now, start keeping a paper record, meticulous paper records, because it's one of the big things for that exam. They want to go back a couple of years, so if you start doing it now, it'll help you when it comes to the exam. So that's it. So that's it in relation to the records from the honey. So that's what I've done. I've jarred the honey and now put the labels on it, and that's now ready for sale. So we are 10th of February today, up at the Apiary, just doing checks, making sure everything's all right. Bit of a gamble today. My out apiary is half an hour away from where I live, so when I come and do an inspection, that's an hour round trip before we start. Today I happen to be passing because I'm working out this way today, so I've just called in. I threw a few packs of fondant in the back of the van. I've got my suit, well, not my suit, a jacket, because I always carry a jacket and a skep. I have those in my van all the time, because you never know when you're going to get asked to take a swarm, so I always carry one of those around. So it's a cold, wet day today, so I'm hoping they're just all in cluster. I can whip down the line, I can check that they're all good, and then get on again, and that'll save me a trip tomorrow. But it's not a problem. If there is a problem, we can always come back tomorrow and sort it out. So that's what we're doing today. So that gamble paid off. All the hives are good, they're all still alive, and a couple of them had to be fed, and that took me, well, that'll be 20 minutes from the wheel stopping on the van to the starting the van up again. I just do what I always do, just have one. Once I've finished in the apiary, I just walk the line, make sure all the lids are on right and everything's back on as it should be before I go on again. So that's all looking good. If you remember, it was these two were the ones that had collapsed in the wind. So I've got the materials to make a new stand for that, so we'll be swapping that over soon. That's why that's strapped that way now, just to belt and braces it. Those guys in that one are still on their own food. They've not been fed yet. So of course when I whipped the lid off, they were straight out. They're obviously not happy about being blown over in the wind, so they were in my face, which was, I was happy that I had my my jacket with me. But yeah, they were in my face. So those ones, I mean, we'll wait till the winter's finished. Obviously we're going to be into spring checking them, but yeah, they got up in my face a bit, which I don't normally accept. So we'll make a little note of that on the records, just to keep an eye on that one, because obviously if they are a bit spicy, they will need requeening. So yeah, so that's it. Apiary is looking good. So that means we can have it, unless we get a phone call from the owner of the land. Hi guys, so 15th of February, and all we are doing is labelling up some more honey. Just an absolute joy to have this honey house now. I came up yesterday, or day before yesterday, we put a bucket of honey in the warming cabinet. We just left that overnight, and then we took it out there straight onto the jarring, and we jarred some up. We've left it overnight, and now we're just doing some labelling. But I'm not having to constantly clear up in the kitchen and get out of the way of the rest of the family. It can just all stay up here and be done, so that's really cool. So yeah, you saw me doing some jarring earlier in the month. So anyway, I've managed to do that now, which has now got me ahead. I reckon I've got enough honey now to last me well into next month, if not probably beginning of April. So that clears that out the way a bit and allows me to get on with other stuff. So it is a horrible day today. So that is why, and it was the same yesterday, that's why we thought we'd get some honey done. And then we'll probably go into the workshop and try looking at putting the door together for that observation hive. So that's what we are doing today. Hello, so 17th of February, a state of me, just been moving a load of cement and blocks for the honey house. But tomorrow is going to be a sunny day, so we're going to make the most use of our solar, and we're going to do some more wax rendering and cleaning some boxes up, etc. So we're down in BHQ. Let me turn you around. So this is BHQ. So this area here, which is cage, used to be where I used to keep the police dogs. I was a police dog handler, and after I retired, obviously the kennel was taken away, but I still needed somewhere for the police dog to go if I was going out for a few hours, somewhere to leave him safely. So I made that. That was didn't have the 3 doors on it. That just had that was solid with a hole there as a kind of shelter kennel for him to shelter if he needed to. So but that is absolutely full of bee equipment, as is the shed. So there is my biggest ever beekeeping mistake. Metal shed. Do not buy a metal shed to store beekeeping equipment. It's too cold, condensation, too hot in the summer. So I got that because I needed somewhere to store some boxes, and as you can see, it's pretty rammed in there, which is why I've built the honey house, to make more space. So I needed somewhere to keep boxes, so I bought that because it was cheap, but it ended up costing more money because then I had to line it on the inside, etc. So don't buy a metal shed, go straight for a wooden one. And what I'll probably do, that's probably going to be, well, I've got a few things to do in the house, but that's probably going to be a project for later. We'll put a bigger shed in here maybe. So today's task is to take some of those boxes out, go through them, see where we're at, see if they need repair or cleaning, because I know some of those supers, they're fine, they're ready to go out, and then just start getting them loaded, ready for the season. So I'll get it all out, I'll get it in the garage, and then tomorrow we'll do some more waxing with that steam, and I'll show you cleaning how I boil up my frames. So things in here weren't actually as bad as I thought they were, because the back was already tidy and pretty much everything that was in here was supers, which the boxes had already been cleaned from last year, and the frames had all been cleaned out by the bees, so they've gone back in here and they're all good. So pretty much all these boxes are all supers, ready to go back on. So all I'm doing now is, so I did clean these boxes, and all these frames were cleaned out by the bees and then frozen, because it's always worth, if you've got an opportunity to freeze your frames, it's always worth doing them, because freezing will kill just about everything apart from the seamer, so it's worth doing. And all I'm doing now is I'm just going through them, and I'm just like removing the excess wax off the top, just to make life easier for me throughout the season, you know, to try and stop the boxes, certainly in the earlier stage of the season, sticking together. So we're just like that, and then that can go back in. That's ready, and if it happens to be on a Hoffman frame, then we're just cleaning the bits where they touch as well. So it's literally just top and the bits where they touch. And if you start that way off on the season, it just makes life a little bit more pleasant to start with, because the boxes aren't quite stuck up so much. Yes, that's all it needs. And yeah, and then that'll be a perfectly good frame to go back on for the bees. Save them making it again, they can just fill it straight back out with the honey. Although if I'm putting on brood and a half, then I do use these ones because they're already drawn. Same as on two of my hives, on my polys, because they're a bit lighter, I'll put on a brood box and use it as a super, and then the following year I've got a couple of boxes then where I can use the frames that are already drawn, ready for Bailey comb change and that sort of thing. Yep, so that's what I'm doing. So I'm doing all these on the boxes before I put them away, and then they've done them for the season. So not a bad little session this afternoon. Still got a bit of sweeping up and tidying up to do before the season is on us, but things weren't as bad as I thought they were going to be. So all those boxes in there are all full of super frames. Boxes are all clean, frames are all good, every frame's been checked and tidied, and that's all good to go out to the apiary. That's ready to go. And there's a couple of hives there, complete hives, which are also ready to go. And then in there is just empty boxes, which will be filled when we've done the frames. But for the moment, they're empty. They're clean. They're empty. So that's pretty cool. You acquire stuff in your time beekeeping, don't you? And I've acquired various different things, but I don't like these plastic queen excluders. So they are all going to the tip because I've got plenty of queen excluders. So let me show you what the workload is for tomorrow. There we are. That's tomorrow's project. So they're not all full of frames. That stack is, and I don't think the bottom two are, but the boxes need cleaning. So all that lot. I'm not going to get it all done tomorrow probably, but so we'll get the steamer on again, and we'll just rotate those through. If we can get maybe 40-50 frames through, that'll be good. And then we'll also get the box up and running for boiling the frames, which would be quite cool. So actually for the year, that's not too bad, that to be cleaned, although we have got more to do. The poly I'm not cleaning yet because I've got the nukes to do. I'll wait until, because I've got some nukes which are going out early for sale ones. So it makes sense to, when I knock up the solution to clean the poly, is to do as much as I possibly can all at once. And one of the poly hives is due a Bailey comb change as well. So we'll get that done and rescue a lot of those boxes. But we'll get all the frames done, and then we'll stack the poly over to one side and do that later on in the year. That box there is also, it's full of empty frames now. That's the ones we steamed out last time, but the box also needs cleaning. So plenty of work to do. We'll get that set up for tomorrow, and as soon as the sun's up and I'm start getting free electricity, we'll get it going. Morning. So as promised, it's now the 18th of February. The sun's on its way up. Although it's a bit hazy at the moment, could do with that burning through, but nonetheless, it's given me free electricity. So we're on the go. So you saw that last time back in January. We've just switched that on. We've got a load of frames to boil out there, but you haven't seen this one. So this is how I boil up my frames. So I've changed a little bit now. It's the same principle, but what I used to use was half an oil can, because you can pick those up from anywhere really, and the principle then is exactly the same. But I've managed to pick one of these up from the free ads, which is a canning machine, which is just designed to go on the hob top, but it's just the right size for frame. So what it means is I'm not boiling up so much water, and I'm not wasting so much energy and stuff that we need to cook it up. So all I've done in there at the moment, that's just warming up because it's going to boil. We've put in, I don't know how much water we're going to put in, but we've just put in a packet of the soda crystals, 1 kilogram of soda crystals. If you're in the UK, the cheap superstores, they have them in occasionally, so keep an eye out for them when you go in and clear the shelves out, because it's much cheaper. And then just a little dash of washing up liquid in there. So that's in there. And we've just got some frames ready. The majority of these ones were from ones that had collapsed from last year, so they've just been scraped. The boiled ones are better, but nonetheless we've scraped those in there, and I'll show you that later. And then all I've done, I've just tied them together, and the only reason for that is it's just easier when you come to fish them out after they've boiled. So we'll get those in there, and then we'll leave it to get boiled. So machines are on now. You've seen that's up and boiling. That's just almost getting there. It's just starting to pour the wax. This though, I was quite impressed with this. I did 10 frames, put 10 frames in there, and then I had space for another, I think it was 3 frames down the outside, because you want to try and wedge it in, otherwise it'll just float. And then as I've done that, it was still plenty of space on the top, and I thought this bit actually sank all the way down, but it doesn't. It just sits on the top. So I put another 3 super frames on the top of that, and we can push those down, and most of these frames will be done, or certainly ready to go for the next one. So that's just going to keep the frames pushed down. Put the lid on. That's on. We'll come back and check that in a minute. And that's on. Right, let's go and have a bit of breakfast. So it's been an hour. Nice and warm up in the garage here now with this lot going, which is nice. So first up, that's the second lot through of that. If you remember last time, after it poured out, all that comes out is called slum gum, which again you can make fire lighters with it. Just wrap a small piece up in newspaper, and if you've got a wood burner, open fire, it's great for getting the fire going, or you can just put it straight in the compost. So this is what the frames come out like once they've been, they're not too bad. once they've been steamed out, and then you pull all the metal out of it, all the wire. That's really simple to do. That slides straight out and into this. Now this is the first time I've used this, and I was quite surprised that the camping stove, even with both plates going, wasn't good enough, strong enough to actually get that cooking. There's still quite a lot of water in there. So we switched back to the gas bottle, and that's working now. That's boiling up a treat. It's quite nice. So we'll give that another 10 minutes or so, then we'll swap the frames over. So we've got the next lot of frames ready. So because we don't want to be losing heat and stuff, so we'll literally whip those frames out, put those frames in, and then we'll worry about cleaning the frames up that are in there. So yeah, still all go. There's still plenty to do. Okay, so this is working really well. If anything, it's going a bit too quick for me. I can't keep up. So the steamer's got its third lot in now. So that's quite cool. Now this is on gas and on the electric. It's boiling up. In fact, I've had to turn it off because I can't keep up. So I've turned it off, but I've loaded it to keep the water warm. I'll put that back on again in a minute when we've got the next lot ready, and then it goes over for. So all I do once it comes out of where it's been boiled, I just use a little wire brush there, give it a brush whilst I'm rinsing it down over the hot point, and then it comes back here and they get hung out there to dry. So yeah, it's just I'm not even had a chance to start on the boxes yet, but the important thing today is to keep that thing rolling over and get as much as many of these frames as possible melted out. So yeah, just got to keep on doing it. Okay, we're caught back up with ourselves. We've got both boxes running now. Rivers of gold, it's beautiful. So these are good. They are potting trays. They're just the plastic trays you put your pots in and that sort of stuff. So these were £8 each. Got them a couple of years. Don't know how much they're going to be now. This one's actually broken. I washed it and put it up, rest it out the back of the van to dry it, and stupidly run over it, but it still works. So these square ones are brilliant. I think they're 56 centimeters all round. Pretty sure they are. So what's good about them is they act as great temporary roofs when you're taking your supers on and off. Put one on the bottom, put the supers on, stack them up, put one of those on after you've blown the bees out, that sort of thing. Stops bees going back in. They make really good temporary lids, and what they're also really good for is when you're doing this sort of stuff, you can put your frame on it and scrape it down, and it all falls into there. And actually, that'll all go into the melter as well. So that's that. I actually might get an opportunity now. I've got a couple of minutes to scrape one of these boxes. So let's get on. So we still haven't got any boxes scraped. There's over 50 frames there have been done. We've got another load in there. We've got a good routine going with that now. So it's about every 30 minutes. That's a box of frames done. So we've still got a good few hours worth there. I don't think we'll get done today, but we'll have a good go. I've turned that off for the moment. It is loaded, ready to go. But I'm going to go for lunch in a minute. So I've been so impressed with that. Sorry, this is only here just to as a bit of a wind break for the gas. But yeah, no, that's really impressed with that. That's so quick, I can't keep up with it. So that'll be good. But I can, as long as I get that done today whilst the sun's shining, or as much as I possibly can, I can scrape and clean boxes in here over the next couple of days when it's raining. So I'm not overly fussed with that. But yeah, we need to be getting on with it. So once that lot's out, we will load it up again, but we won't put it back on again because we're going to go for lunch. But as I said, I've got that every half an hour. So the nice thing about that is it's not going through, it's not burning, it's not boiling all its water in there. Half an hour is just right. Switch it off, and at least you've got some hot water in there to go again. And you kind of know when it's finished because the rivers of gold stop running. So on that, you need to get your day right, because the moment those bees start flying, they're attracted to this stuff like catnip, and then they drown in the hot lava. So cold day with the sun out is perfect for boiling frames. Now the other thing someone asked me was all my supers. I showed you yesterday all the supers that are ready. They asked me how many supers I need. And that's a really good question. It's something I should do, and it's something I will monitor this year. But in essence, what I do is, so I've got about 20 production hives going. So I try to budget or allow for 2 supers per hive, because some will only take 1, some will take 2, others take 4 or 5, and that's usually about right for me. So what you saw there yesterday, ready to go, is about 30 supers, just a bit more, 32 supers. So we will get another 7 or 8 of these knocked up, so we've got the 40 ready, and then the rest I'll just wait, because you don't know what the season's going to bring. And if you leave foundation in frames and don't use them, they go brittle, so you're better off not making them up till you need them. But that's cool. So we'll get that one boiled out, and then we'll go for a sponge. So it's still the 17th of February, and we're on our way out this evening. We've got a meeting at the association. If you remember last month, I run that skep building course over the 2 weekends. Well, tonight we've got a lovely young lady coming to tell us all about keeping bees in skeps, so that'll be quite interesting. So that's the evening to look forward to. So back on it again today, 19th of February, I think, 18th, 19th of February. So what do we got to do? That's been on for about an hour. We've got to get that boiled up and get the rest of those boiled frames done, which is cool. We've started on waxing the frames. So we're doing all the green. I want to do all the green first, because then I can paint it. And then when it's dry, we can get that down on bottom. And again, all the boxes apart from the polys are going to be refilled. This lot down here are manly frames. The manly frames, which I hope my tutor and master beekeeper from yesteryear is not listening, because he loves the manly flame, but I don't like them, so they go. It's not that I don't like them. They do stick together, they do a job, they do keep the space in, and they make it relatively easy to uncap, but I haven't got many. And so when you're swapping your frames over, you know, giving a colony stores if they need it, they all get separated and they don't sit in some boxes right and make things a bit difficult. So that's the only manly frames I've got now. So they're going, they won't be wasted, they'll be chopped up and they'll go on the wood burner. Couple of queen excluders for cleaning, and that's about that. And then in here we're actually, excuse the mess, once the honey house is finished, this will all be properly tidied up. We're just putting some frames together, so I thought you might want to see that, because it is obviously a little bit different than putting new frames together. I showed you last time the manual way with, if you remember, 11 nails that go into it when you make it. So this is slightly different, because we're not actually making a new one. We're replenishing old ones. So some of them you'll get quite dirty. This one's not too bad. So the first thing we have to do is get the bottom bar out. So just gently prising that out. Sometimes the nails stay in, and sometimes the nails come out with it. And it's almost like I planned this. Look, so 2 of them are still stuck in there, and 1 of them isn't. So the ones that aren't, if you just put them over the edge of a, so you don't break it, over the edge of a hard surface, so the nail is literally just missing, using your cross-plying hammer again, just tap that out, and then normally that's out enough, you can probably just pull it out. And the others, a pair of long nose pliers work for that. Just put those on, twist them out. That one broke, of course it did. There we go, it's got it. Now, this frame's quite clean. Sometimes they are still a bit dirty and you have to scrape them out a bit more. But this one's okay, so it's just simply a case of then resheeting it. And then put your bar back in again. So let me introduce you to a piece of kit which I just think it's brilliant. So I haven't got a cordless one, it's a corded one, but this is the Titan stapler nailer, and it will fire staples or nails. So in this case, we want to use the pins, the nails, and I'm using 15 mil galvanized pins. So all you got to know when you're using this is which side it comes out, because it does staples as well, which obviously come out both like a stapler, but your pin will only come out one side. So for me, it's that side, so that's the side I need to line up. But if you remember when we were doing this, how we had to get the nail in at an angle so it didn't come out the bottom. Well, these what are they? 15 mil are just perfect. So we just point that in at an angle, thump that in, and she's in. So you'll see more of this stapler later on in the year, because I make all my frames with these, and I've got a little jig to do. So if I'm making up a load of frames at once, we'll use that. And I will be, because once my nukes start selling, then I've got to obviously replace those. So that's what we do. So again, just pop that out. This one's slightly different. Again, as if by magic, we've left one in and one out. So the one that's left in, just get some pliers on it. Oh, for some reason, this one only had 2 nails in it. Good job they weren't doing the exam. Now the ease of which this is done is in some way dictated by how well. So I'll tell you what it is. I've picked this up from someone, because this is completely nailed wrong, because these are nailed in from the side there instead of the top, which would make it almost impossible to get the thing apart if we needed to, but it'll do for a season. Yeah, so we'll do another one. We'll do one more, show you one more, and then yeah, that's nailed properly, look, on the ends. So the trick is with these, you saw me do them yesterday, is to make sure they're dry before you put it in. Otherwise, if you just leave them in a box and they're still damp, it can go mouldy. So this one, again, doesn't need any further cleaning. All 3 nails came out with the top bar. So we'll just tap they out. Sometimes you can just, more often than not, you just pull them out with your fingers. I'm just wearing these because of all the sticky wax and propolis. It's just, otherwise you end up getting to the period later on in the day, if you're doing loads, where you're completely gummed up. That goes in there. That goes in there. Goes in there. And that's that. So that's enough of those done for the moment. So about another 60 frames to do, I think. So we're starting to get a bit clearer in and out. So that's the day's got away from us again. So we're finishing for the day. But that just goes to show, doesn't it? Now I know I've got more hives than most, but it just gives you some idea of how long these little jobs take, which if you're going to be a beekeeper, you need to do. So yeah, it's something that, I mean, I don't mind. I enjoy making frames and tinkering around and getting things sorted, but if that's not your thing for doing it, then it's either going to be very expensive or maybe not the hobby for you. But anyway, so where are we at? So we have that stack is now completely loaded with frames. However, I was going to paint it, but I've run out of green paint. I've only got a tiny bit left, not enough to paint that. So we'll get some more ordered and hopefully pick that up at the beekeeping show the weekend. And then once that's painted, that whole stack will go out to the out apiary. So what we'll do with that is we'll put something on the bottom so the floor's solid. We'll block up the entrance and then we'll leave it empty in the apiary, because then that will be spares as and when I need them. So if I need a whole hive, I've got a whole hive. If I need a brood box, I've got one. And a couple of those supers are castellated for supers, and some have got the Hoffmans if I need to make brood and a half. So that's useful. So we'll take that out. As soon as that's done, we'll take that out to the apiary. And the other thing we do whilst we're at the apiary is we'll put at least one super on every single hive, so that when I'm doing mine, it's on the top, so above the crown board. So the moment I need a super, or that hive needs a super, it's got one, and I haven't got to worry about getting one out there. So that serves me two purposes. One, it gets the stuff out of storage, and two, it gets it there for where I need it. Now the other thing is I've run out of foundation, super foundation. I thought I had a bit more than they did, but I haven't. So I've got none of that left, so I need to get some. So whereas all the wax that we've just been rendering, I was going to, for the end of the year, maybe the honey show, I think what we'll have to do, probably won't get a chance in time for the beekeeping show, but in time for the spring convention, I think we'll have to get that its second stage rendering and get some exchanged ready for the season, because I'm going to run out. So somebody actually asked me last night, how do I render wax without the steamer? Well, I use super cauldrons. So that's, if I didn't have a steamer, I would use just them, or my solar extractor, but just them. But I use those for my second stage rendering, because they're just like a really large bain-marie, and they get to just hot enough to melt your wax for you. So what I'll show you that, because we'll definitely, if we don't get it done this month, we'll definitely get it done next month, because I need to get some wax exchanged. So I've got just enough to finish that box off, but I'm waiting for the frames that were boiled today to dry. So we'll finish that box off, and we'll get the rest stacked away somewhere. Now I said I wouldn't be cleaning any boxes till I got some more supers and stuff, but I'm going to have to. I'm going to need some of those nukes. So we will be doing that as well next month. So yes, that ends the day. We'll back on it again tomorrow, although it shouldn't be so long tomorrow, just finishing off these little bits, and then we can get back to building the honey house and sorting out that observation hive. So see you tomorrow. So I don't know if you can hear that wind. It's 20th of February. We're up at the association apiary. Fortunately, I'm going to turn you around. We have got an undercovered area. So just step back from there a bit. So yeah, it's pouring with rain, but these girls still need checking. So anybody that tells you that beekeeping is fair weather and it's just in the sunshine and it's all nice and you shouldn't even go anywhere near your bees when it's cold and wet, generally speaking, that's true. But sometimes it cannot be helped. So these were checked, it's now Thursday, so they were checked week last Saturday, so about 9-10 days ago. Now, tomorrow the forecast's even worse. Saturday we're up early and out and at the beekeeping show all day. Sunday I've got family. Monday working. Tuesday, weather don't look too bad, but we don't know. But so then we're into 2.5 weeks before they get inspected. And remember what I said, at this time of year is when you'll get your high amount of colony losses, because as the weather starts to turn, the girls will come out and start foraging and start burning energy. I know there's some snowdrops and things around, but there ain't a lot for them to forage on. So generally speaking, they'll use more energy and more stores at this time of year than they normally would. So you're in danger of losing your colonies at this time of year. So you need to get in there and make sure they're good and make sure they've got enough food. Now, in this apiary, all of them are being fed at the moment, so there's no requirement for me to weigh them. We know that, so it's just a case of running around them, getting the lids off, making sure they've got enough fondant on the top, and the ones that haven't, we'll just swap them over with a new tub. So I don't intend to be here long, but I know I'm going to get a good soak in. but it is what it is, and you've got to do what you got to do. So I'll run around, I'll take all the lids off, and then all the straps off, because every hive ear is strapped. Take all the straps off, and then I'll just quickly run around them and see where we're at. So that's it, all done. It took less than 10 minutes. I have walked around the apiary because I am the only one here, but like same at my own apiary, just walk around the hives at the end, every single one, just look at them, make sure the straps are done up, make sure the lids are on properly, and make sure everything's looking good before you leave the apiary. So 3 of them needed feeding, one of them probably not, but it was probably going to be 2 weeks before we get up here again, so I did feed them. Number 6, which is the one in the middle there with a blue in it, a little bit worried about that one. Didn't see any bees, because normally when you're using the fondant in the tubs as feeders, you can normally see the bees up inside feeding. So and all the rest of them we saw bees, but that one I didn't. But we're not going to be having a look in there today, because sometimes just pop the lid and have a little look on the top, see if you can see bees, if the weather will let you do it. Obviously don't be doing it on a day like today. So that's it, so that's the job done. Now let's see if we can get back to the car without getting too wet. So we're back from the association apiary, and we did get a good soaking. So my jacket, my bee jacket, is soaking wet, but it's due a wash anyway, so I thought I might as well bring it in and sling it in the washing machine. So what they tell you is, and if you read the instructions, they say to remove the veil and wash separately. But what I do, and I've been doing it for ever since I've been beekeeping really, and I've never had a problem with it, is I just take the veil, the whole veil, leave it connected, and tuck it inside the suit. So that it's inside like that. The hood's actually inside the jacket. And then I put that in the washing machine, and I don't have any problems with that at all. That's obviously, you've got to go on the recommendation and the guidelines of the manufacturers. I'm not telling you that's what you should do, I'm telling you that's what I do. All right, and I've never had a problem with it. So you probably noticed there, that was a Simon the Beekeeper professional jacket. I think I got this one because he's changed hands now, hasn't he? So I got that one when he was closing down. I think I picked it up for 15 quid, something like that. So on that, so all your BJ Sheriff, your BB Wear, Oz Armour, and sorry if I've missed any. They make really good bee suits, and they are really good, and that's what I wear for the majority of my inspecting. I'll always have one of those suits on when I do a full inspection up at my main apiary, and I have a different one for my main apiary to what I do my home apiary. We'll talk about hygiene and stuff later on in the year when we do the inspections, but I always have different ones. I have a different one for teaching. I have two like this, one in the back of the car, one in the back of the van, along with a skep and a sheet, so that if I ever get a phone call to go and collect a swarm, or to maybe go and look at a job or something, or an emergency, and if I'm just passing the apiary and I need to call in, you know, cheap as chips. And these ones, you know, less than 20 quid. You can't go wrong really. Yeah, I probably wouldn't wear it all the time, but it does what it needs to do. And also, you get your nice bee suit. It's always worth having a couple of those knocking around, because I guarantee you, if you're just starting out beekeeping, somebody is going to want to come along and have a look, and you need to have a suit to put them in. Remember, their safety is your problem, so you need to make sure they're looked after. So yeah, plenty of suits. I'll say plenty of suits. Make sure you've got a couple of spares, and you're using different suits for different things, or at least you're washing them before you go between apiaries. So yeah, so that was it. Just wanted to say that's what I do. Tuck the veil inside that. That's ready to go into the wash now, so I'll get that in the washing machine. So it's now Sunday 23rd, and it was a long day yesterday. We were up at the beekeeping show. Not doing much today. Family come around this afternoon. I just want to get these lot painted quickly so I can get them out into the out apiary later on in the week. So the beekeeping show yesterday, I didn't do a huge amount of videoing for two reasons. One, I remembered to take my camera, but I forgot to take my battery. muppet. So I did it all on me, all on the phone, which is fine. But obviously the background noise and everything else not so good. But I did get some footage so you can see what it's all about, and I did manage to get an interview with Stu Walsh from Simply Beautiful Honey. So that's in a minute. You'll see that. But I just wanted to say about the beekeeping show. If you've never been before, really worth going. Yeah, it took us 3.5 hours to get up there and get back again. Thank you to my travelling companions, Claire and Andy. That made the journey so much easier having you two. And thank you, Claire, for that packed lunch. Awesome. So the beekeeping show is a trade show. So it's slightly different to what you're going to get from the spring convention or the honey show or that kind of thing, in so much that there wasn't much in the way of workshops and lectures and presentations. It was mainly all to do with trade, and there was a huge amount of bee farmers there, which was really cool to speak to some of those. So that attracted obviously other tradespeople from around the world. So whereas Konig, for example, they sell their stuff in Thorns and other beekeeping suppliers in this country, but they had a whole stand. So that was really cool because there was more products for you to go and get your hands on. There were some presentations. They were mainly from the companies that were selling things. However, there was two, one in the morning, one in the afternoon, one with Richard Nolan guests and the other one with Gwyn Griffith and guests. And they had a few guests with them, and all of them were bee farmers. And it was just so interesting to hear their stories and how they started with a couple of hives and how they built up to where they are today. And I think the takeaway for me for that was, don't be afraid to try new things. Don't be afraid to have a go. These bee farmers, some of them have been in the game for 50 years and they're still changing. Every year they will adapt to what they're doing. And it's not because what they've been doing in previous years is wrong, it's because the situation's changed. Trade deals have changed. The types of bees have changed, the types of things have come along like Varroa and that kind of stuff. So yeah, really don't be afraid to change. So on that, I've always preached, and now having been and spoke to these bee farmers, I think I'm right in doing so. We always say that you should have 2 colonies, because if one colony gets into trouble, you can help it out with your other colony. So for example, if one goes queenless, you can get a frame of eggs from your other one and you can put it in there and you can rescue both, which works. But I've always maintained you should have about 4 colonies, because 2 colonies will keep you going, but 4 colonies you can learn how to be a beekeeper, because it gives you that opportunity then to try new things, knowing that if it all goes wrong, you can just merge the bees back together and you haven't really lost anything. So yeah, so that was my takeaway. So really enjoyed the beekeeping show. The car came back full. That wasn't because of what I bought up there, it's because of stuff I bought before going up there, so it saved myself a load of money on postage and that kind of stuff. To give you an example though of what deals are out there, I didn't bring it in, but you know how the Hoffman frames are all the Hoffman frames are the DN4s, and they're the ones that have the shoulders on them, so that when you put two together, you get the exact amount of bee space that you need. So all my brood frames are on these. The half frames are on these, but then I go for just the SN1s, which are without the shoulders. So just and the SN1s, they don't have the shoulders on them; they're just straight, and they have to go in. We either have to put some form of spacer on them, or you put them in your super frame with castellations. And what that means, instead of putting your traditional 11 frames in, you only put 10 of these in your super, in the castles that are spaced, so that you get a deeper amount of wax and therefore more honey per frame. So that saves you time, because that's one less frame in every box that you've got to uncap and put into the extractor. And also it saves the bees a lot of time, because they haven't got to build out so much wax in order to fill up their stores. So anyway, going back, these are called SN1s because they haven't got the shoulders on. So in my honey house, no, sorry, not the honey house, in my observation hive, the glass well, you watch the video and you'll see what I mean. But the top frame needs to be a DN1. So in other words, a deep frame, but without the Hoffman sides on it. So DN4, SN4 are the ones with the shoulders on. So DN standing for deep and SN standing for super. And then DN1 and SM1 don't have the shoulders. So none of my frames, none of my brood frames are DN1. They are all DN4 because it just serves the purpose of keeping the spacing right. But I needed a couple for the top of the, as I said, for the top of the observation hive. So because the door won't shut, so I only want 2 or 3. So every time I put a nuke of bees into that observation hive, the top frame needs to be a DN1. So I bought a pack while I was up there, and it was, I think, I can't remember, £17, something like that, might be £18. So that's £1.70 or £1.80 per frame. So one frame, £1.80. So I think the beekeeping show, certainly in the honey show for sure, but the beekeeping show is kind of the end of the sale season, because obviously from now we are going to start getting into our hives, and when we need equipment, we're going to need it quick. So these companies, these beekeeping companies know that, so you're going to pay a premium amount. So you need to make your plan of what you're going to need for the following year where you can, and get it all in the sales at the end of the year. So what you can purchase from Thorns and other suppliers is you can get their seconds, and what that means, it's the stuff that's not past their premium grade. So this one, for example, will go in the seconds because it's got a knot missing there. Sometimes on the bottom bars you get a knot, but you get, I don't know what they are because I didn't get any. I haven't got any since last year, but I think they're about. So for the deeps, you're paying about £26-27 for 50, right? Which works out about 50-60 pence each. I've just paid £1.80, so it's a third of the price. And when you consider that across the amount of frames that you're going to need, and I need loads of these deeps because obviously keep replacing on the nukes, it's worth having. Now I've been having those seconds for years. Very occasionally you'll get a knot similar to that on the bottom bar and it will break. Right, so very occasionally you'll lose one. But the way around that is when you get in a frame that's so far gone that you're thrown away, 9 times out of 10 you can recover one of these and keep it. So don't be afraid to go for the sales stuff. Really don't be afraid to go for it. Unfortunately, you can't get foundation cheap on the sales, but keep your wax, and then you can get that rendered. So that was what that's what the beekeeping shows are really good for. So really good day, really enjoyed it. If you get an opportunity next year, definitely go and visit it. Right, have a look at the what it was like yesterday. So here we are then, we're at the beekeeping show up in Telford. I've already emptied my wallet and picked up what I needed to, but thought I'd have a quick walk around and show you what's on offer if you decide to come next year. Jolly everyone. Nice to meet you. Thank you. So here we are then, we're at the beekeeping show, and you should all recognise this guy, and if you don't, why not? Because he runs a really good YouTube channel, Simply Beautiful Honey. fair to say commercial beekeeper or bee farmer?
Yeah, well, one and the same, isn't it?
Yeah. So, and if you're not watching him, then you really should. He does a weekly blog. It's really informative, and you pick up loads of tips. Last really big tip I picked up was the knife for cutting up the fondant.
Yeah. So the plaster's blade.
Yeah, genius. So if you haven't seen that, then see it. So, Stu Walsh, Simply Beautiful Honey.
That's right. Yeah.
With his wife Vicky. So all I got for you, Stu, is I know you're busy looking after the Tektron stand here. And by the way, thanks. I've just bought some Tektron.
Oh, you're very welcome. Yeah, listen, it's money well spent.
2 questions. That's all.
Go on then.
Question 1: what are you looking forward to most this season?
What am I looking forward to most? Correcting some of my errors from last year. And when I say errors, I tried some things for the first time. So one of them was the borage.
Okay.
And I learnt some important lessons. So when I say errors, just things I do differently.
Right. Okay.
So like anything else, beekeeping, you're constantly evolving, and no one person knows everything, and no 2 years are the same.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, some things didn't quite go to plan last year. So my aim is to this year just tweak those a little bit and see if I can improve it a little bit.
Because you're on, how many apiaries are you running?
With over 50 odd sites.
50 sites?
They're not all in use all year round.
Okay.
So, for example, I'm monofloral crops, like the rapeseed, the borage, sunflowers. Obviously, we only use those for part of the season. But at any one time, we've probably got about 30 sites that we're using.
And how many colonies?
So it's about 300 production hives, and at present we're probably about 150 overwintered nests.
Oh, okay.
Or 1 or 2.
Keeps you out of trouble. Yeah. But it's only 5 days a week, couple of hours a day, isn't it?
Yeah, something like that. It's difficult. I mean, I've probably got too many hives for what to do. So predominantly it's myself and also my wife Vicky helps out when we've got 2 year-old twin girls here as well. You see, so it's quite difficult, to get Vicky away. But try and join me at least once a week to come and give me a hand around Liverpool sites. But yeah, we are changing things a little bit this year as well. So weekends are predominantly taken away markets, obviously selling the honey and things like that. We're just trying to change that. We're more reliant on stockists and the website driving the sales, and then we can, 1, have a bit more time off, and 2, focus on ultimate other things, the newts and other little projects we've got going on.
And family and life and all that goes on as well. So last question then, I've asked you what you're looking forward to most. What you're not looking forward to most this season?
Well, we wouldn't be English or British if we weren't complaining about the weather. I'm terrified of a poor season weather-wise.
Yeah, okay.
What am I not looking forward to the most? So, I don't know. I suppose there's a lot of apprehension, isn't it? You know what I mean? Not knowing what to expect, and the unknown, isn't it? You know what I mean? And we all, as beekeepers, want a great season. We want the weather and everything to play a ball. Yeah. But it's for us, because it's commercial, there's always that element of risk as well. So.
Because the spring last year was pretty bad, did that knock you back a bit?
It did, yeah. So we still got a rapeseed crop and a bit of a spring crop blossom-wise. It wasn't our best year, but the fact that we got a crop, I know some up at lower down in the country got next to nothing. They were feeding their bees all the way through till that summer, really.
Yeah. Well, there we go then. So this is the guy to watch. Stu, thanks very much. I appreciate you doing that.
No
Simply Beautiful Honey, if you're not checking them out, make sure you do so.
Thank you.
There we go, that didn't take long. We got that painted now. I ordered the wrong paint. So I don't know if you remember, the old colour green was forest green and this is sage green. But at the end of the day, it just meant that we got everything covered. Just probably took a couple of minutes longer. So there's nothing wrong with that at all. So the paint I'm using is Lysum paint, picked up from a bellow. So it's got the colour of the hive there. It is hive paint, and it tells you all about it on their website. So what do you have to do to prepare it? I don't know, because it's all in a foreign language. How long does it take to dry it? I don't know, because it's all in a foreign language. How do you apply it? No idea, because it's all in a foreign language. So all I do is give it a little stir. I don't think it needs stirring. You can just kind of tell by the painted it is, but I do give it a quick stir. It goes on lovely with the roller. I've used loads of this stuff. I think it's about £20 a tin, but it goes on really nice. It does go on really nice. So yeah, good paint. That's that painted. We'll give that, how long does it take to dry? No idea, because I can't read the side of the tin. But as soon as it is dry, we'll load that up into the car, ready to go out to the apiary. Apparently, it's called politician paint. And the reason it's called politician paint is because it covers anything up. I'm here all week. I'll stick to beekeeping, I think. I had the smoker going today. I'll show you why in a minute, but it smells wonderful. Spring's on its way. So 24th of Feb, it's 5:30. It's getting light now, isn't it? Yeah, like I said, with the smoker going, it's spring is on its way. So just up the out apiary, I finished, so I'm just having that final walk along, make sure they're all right. So what we've done today is, see, that's what the bees are like in the south. Look at that. It's only February, and what they're on their 4 supers already. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? No, so that's that stack that I've painted up. So that's a complete stack there now. It's got all the frames in it with new foundation in, ready to go. So if we need anything, because it's the out apiary, rather than having to worry and travel home and get it, etc., it's there already. And what we will do is probably give it another month, is we'll start putting a super on every one above the crown board. So as soon as they need a super, they've got it. So what else have we done today? So on, is it that one? Yeah, so on a couple of these, especially this one, remember that was the one that fell over. We've put those extra bits of timber in now. One there. And that's, yeah, they're nice. And I told you those ones are a bit spicy. They were absolutely fine today, but I think the bees definitely do well in the pollies over winter, without a shadow of doubt, because every single polly today was flying, but some of the wooden ones were. But even though when I come to do the feed, there's bees in there on all the wooden ones, it's quite noticeable that the poly ones were all flying a bit longer. So we did that. So we got some wood on that one. We got that one needed wood, extra wood, and so did it on a couple of the supers. Look, that's why I check. That's why I always check before I go. Look, I've not put that lid on properly, so we'll sort that out. Yeah, and we've put an extra couple of strips in where the nukes go. See, when the idea with that is we'll have, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 nukes on there facing different ways. So when they're next to each other, you don't need as many bits of wood across. But when there's only 3 like that, you need the extra bits. So that's it. I'm really glad we got that done. Smoker was lit because obviously when we were just moving the hives about a little bit just to get those bars in, the bees got a bit interested, so we just settled them down with a bit of smoke. So yeah, so that's it. So we will sort that out and then we'll call it a day. So it's the last day of the month. It's the 28th of February. I just thought I'd show you this. So there is a full-size colony in the pink one, and that's one of the nukes. And that just goes to show the difference in my mind between the poly and the wooden. So the poly has warmed up much quicker because of the insulation value, and the wooden one not so much. Now yesterday, because it was a nice day yesterday, those were flying really well, but they're not awake yet because I think it's about 10 o'clock in the morning. But these girls, oh there is, there's one come back to the pink one, but these girls are backwards and forwards and they're bringing in pollen. See that? And it's not just elimination flights, they're definitely out and flying. Yeah, so I think that just goes to show that the polystyrene has much better insulation value than the wooden ones. And again, we've come to the other side of the apiary. Now this doesn't get the sun until about 45 minutes, an hour after the ones on the other side of the apiary. So even though this is bathed in sunshine now, it hasn't had sun on it that long. And as you can see, there is no movement in this apiary whatsoever. But if we look inside, yeah, Nice fair sized colony in there. But all still in cluster, look. They're moving around, they'll all be flying soon. They were flying yesterday. So it just goes to show it's not the most important thing, but positioning of hives does have a difference, because that one is in the shade and that one stays in the shade a lot longer than the others, and it's definitely noticeable on the activity of the bees. This one here, I only keep nukes in here to be fair. It was a long hive that I converted. When I go in there, I'll do a little, I'll talk to you a bit more about that one when we come to it. But they're not flying yet. In actual fact, if you looked in the top just now, you saw they are still in cluster. So they've not quite woken up yet. Whereas, so this is the orchard apiary. We don't keep many hives here. Normally just for queen rearing and nukes and that kind of stuff. And then we've got these two, which I just showed you. So the pink one is now flying, but nowhere near as much as that poly, because that's warmed up. And they've both got a good amount of bees in them. So yeah, just goes to show, doesn't it? Look, quite a nice sight though, isn't it? Look, the daffs are out, crocuses are out, snowdrops are out. We like that. So there we are then. That is February done, and what a month. It's really wet, more wet than normal, which gave me a chance to get a lot of that cleaning done and the inside stuff done, and the box is prepared. So we're looking good. We're looking good for the season. Still a lot more work to do, but we have got on top of it and we're looking good for it. So yesterday the weather actually turned. It was beautiful, and today's been really nice. Yesterday they're bringing pollen in, and I just showed you what's happening already, and it's only 10 o'clock in the morning. So is that a tease? Is it going to stay like this? The weather forecast for the next 10 days at least is dry, so that's quite nice. At least we can get on and also finish the or carry on working on the honey house and the observation hive. Seems to look good. So I hope you've got something for this from this video. I've enjoyed making it. Next month, March, don't forget the Great Tommy Sleep Out. It's going to be a shorter month because I'm on holiday, so looking forward to that, but still loads to do. So hopefully you're enjoying them, and I will see you in March.